Good morning. Or if it's not morning for you, it's morning somewhere, which is also the name of this show. Get it? So I hope everyone is having a pretty good week so far. It's Wednesday. Today is May 27th. Let me get myself situated. Wouldn't it be cool if I had a glam squad like Erica Jane or Dorit, so that when I came on here, I was just like, pow, and everything was like taped and pinned and like lifted and just like perfectly in place? Well, maybe one day the glam squad will be here and then y'all won't have to watch me fidget with myself. But I did kind of get the angles right or better this time to get started. So good morning. I hope everyone's week is going well. It started with Memorial Day this week, so which was interesting because I feel like we've just had like a string of like long weekends that included homeschooling and working from home. It was sort of like a never ending thing. But beaches here in Hawaii are still open, although we still have to practice social distancing, no gatherings. You can only go to the beach with people who live in your house. You can't, it's not, no parties or anything like that. This hair is sticking up weird. So, but I've got 5 people that live in my house. So we are not unlike a loud, boisterous party when we go places. So it's definitely, still always something going on with 3 kids. But we had a good day. We spent most of it down at the beach, which I feel extremely, extremely lucky that we got to do. There was a sign out that said there had been a shark sighting. But living on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's definitely that's not unusual. And we didn't see anything. So it's kind of normal to have the shark sighting thing, but then it also is a little unnerving. But I didn't personally see the shark. I think that would have changed things for sure. So that's a little bit of how we spent our Memorial Day. It was just kind of the same as always. We actually still homeschooled because I didn't tell my children that it was a holiday. They don't know. They said it's Monday. My oldest, my second grader, got up and got his work done anyway, sort of even before we could have a conversation. So we were like, guess it's school day. So nobody really got the day off. But I think that that's good because who knows how the homeschooling is going to turn out in several years. We'll see how they end up. But I'm excited to be here with the show today. I've got some fun things to talk about, or things I think is fun. First of all, who's hiring? So still accepting applications. Currently, like I said, today is March 27th, 2020. We are looking at Mesa Airlines is still accepting applications and sending out video interview invitations, as well as Omni Air, which is a charter airline. They are sending out, I did get a message from someone who had received his invite to a interview in June in Dallas. Omni does not provide transportation, so you would be responsible for that, but they are starting to send out invitations. And then Breeze Airways is also accepting applications, but still a preliminary stage because they are a startup airline that was going to be starting, I believe, this year, but I don't know if they're actually going to get to start this year or not. I'm going to shut some of my tabs because I feel like my internet might be lagging. All right, let's see if that helps. So so we've got those 3 still kind of the same. Omni was new last week, which was really exciting. So if you're interested in working for an airline where you get to see the world, if your goal is flat out, I want to see the world, Omni Airlines would possibly be an amazing choice for you because they fly internationally and they do long hauls on big planes and they have long layovers, which is really kind of cool. So that is who's hiring right now. Also, I just read the report, the JDPower and Associates report that came out about the customer satisfaction. So they take a survey every year and rank the airlines based on customer satisfaction. So there's a lot of different ways that airlines get ranked for lots of different things: safety, on-time performance, number of completed flights. There's all sorts of things, but this JDPower and Associate is one of the standards for customer service within the airlines. And Southwest was ranked number 1 for short and long haul flights, which is awesome. And then JetBlue was number 2, which was really cool too. Based on the article, it said that one of the reasons that Southwest kind of pulled ahead was because they don't charge for bags, which I understand is a customer service policy as far as the airline goes. But when I think of customer service, I'm really thinking about like the person who's serving me, not necessarily whether or not the policies are friendly, but that's just kind of me. So the reason I bring that up is because that doesn't mean that all the other airlines are not giving amazing service, actually service, face-to-face service. So I kind of felt like that might have been a little bit of an unfair, because it would be more like, which do you think are the best policies? Which is number 1 in your favorite policies? Southwest has my favorite policies because they have free bags. Of course, we all know that Southwest is known for their fun-loving attitude and their customer service, that and their love of their passengers and their customers. So I don't think that it was not deserved. I definitely do. We all know that Southwest is known for that, is kind of world renowned for the level of customer service that they give. But I did think that it was interesting that the bag fees seem to be tipped the scales. So I just kind of thought that that was sort of interesting. So congratulations to Southwest and JetBlue, of course, for making number 1, number 2. Yeah, so that was something that I wanted to talk about for sure, because I always think that it's exciting. One thing is, when you're interviewing too, it's always nice to try to find what your airline that you're interviewing with, if they've won any awards. Pretty much every airline has won an award in something at some point. So being able to find that, whether it is safety or on-time performance or customer service or best value or, whatever it is, funniest, I don't even know. They probably don't do funniest funniest employees. But if they did, you would want to find that out. I always think that it's interesting to find out something that your airline won, because whenever they say, why do you feel like you would be a good fit for our airline, or why do you want to work for our airline, being able to say, well, I know last year you got second in the JDPower and Associate customer service survey, and I would love to be at a company that ranks right there at the top, something like that. So that's another thing that you can kind of learn about your airline that allows you to connect with them in your interview. So that was a little bit of an interview tip. Today we have study hall. If you don't know what study hall is, then you're definitely missing out. I'm going to see if I can post the link so that you can learn more and sign up. So check out if you're watching live, it's going to be in the comments. If you're watching the replay, it's going to be in the comments on the side, not below on YouTube. Study hall is free for anyone who's ever purchased the Flight Attendant Career Connection interview workbook, which there's information on the link about that if you need to get one. It's right now on sale, part of the preparation package. But we're talking about study hall. Study hall is a 2-hour opportunity for you to basically work with me in a very small group setting. So it's not one-on-one, but it's very small group setting. So it's about a dozen, maybe, people and me. And what we do is we work for about 25 minutes, which allows everyone to sort of get centered, get grounded, get your book out, get your questions out, start to kind of think about what questions you're struggling with. It also gives you a dedicated space to invest in your preparation for interviewing, because we know, even though there's not a ton of opportunity today, there will be opportunity, and it's coming sooner. Every day we are closer to the next opportunity, so you don't want to waste it. And then in between our work sessions, we talk. And basically the way the talking looks is the students in the study hall ask me a question. How would you answer this question? How would you answer that question? They also will say, I was working on this one. Can I run my answer past you? And they get to give their answer, their STAR format answer, or their why I want to be a flight attendant answer. And they give their answer as if they're in the interview. And then I'm able to give them feedback. And everyone can listen, and everyone can listen to the coaching. If you book a one-on-one coaching session with me, those run $125 an hour. And they are super valuable because they are 1 hour of intense time with me where you can get all your questions knocked out. But if that is not something you're ready to invest in because you don't have an interview coming up, or something that doesn't fit in your budget, or something that you don't want to invest in until you've really been able to work with me on a different level, then please come to Study Hall. It's amazing. Another thing is you feel like you have spent time with people. You will probably leave less lonely. I leave less lonely every time because we have such a great supportive group of people, and we are not just like lollygagging or anything. We're really talking about these interview questions. One time last week, we had one of my former clients who is a current flight attendant with American pop on just because he was curious, and I made him share. I asked him questions. I basically interviewed him. The other students in the class got to ask him questions. What was the hardest interview question you've ever asked? How did you answer this one? And it was kind of interesting because some of his answers were different than my traditional advice. So we were able to kind of talk about that too, like maybe you could go in this direction, or he went in this direction. So there was even a real life flight attendant on Study Hall. So you never know what's going to happen in Study Hall. Please check out the link. Please join us. We have it tonight. We have it every Friday, every Wednesday. The full schedule is on that link, that Study Hall sign up link. That's Study Hall. That is my soapbox about Study Hall today. So let's talk about the next thing that we're going to talk about is my product spotlight. So last week I did the first product spotlight, and it was the Hot Logic Mini, which I believe is still on sale. And you can use the coupon code FLIGHT, one word FLIGHT, to save even more. That's the coupon code. So if you want to go check out the Hot Logic Mini, or check out last week's video, or just go Google up the Hot Logic Mini, use the code FLIGHT. It's on sale, save money. I still love that. Last week's product spotlight was the first week I'd done it. And I put out there to the group, to the community, let's think of a better name than product spotlight. And almost immediately, Lala messaged me and said, let's call it Tools for Takeoff. And I said, yes, let's do it. So today, for our Tools for Takeoff is, I'll tell you, I had my husband, I was like, oh man, I needed Tools for Takeoff. I was like, what can I do? And this was his idea. This is a much more practical, you'll be able to tell who picks between me and him every week, because if it's like pretty and like fluffy and like fun, then it's probably mine. And if it's like practical and it's like square and black, then it's probably his. But but he was right anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and post in the comments, the link. This is an affiliate link on Amazon for this. This is the charger pack. You're like, what is it? What is it? What is it? It's a battery pack. I was trying to see. I don't even know the brand. So this is the battery pack. This is the one that we use when we travel. There's 5 of us and we fly Southwest. So we usually have 2 or 3 of these because Southwest does not have in-seat chargers or anything. And we fly from Hawaii to the East Coast. So we usually are carrying 2 or 3 of these. But even if you're not traveling 12 hours with 5 tablets, 4 tablets, 3, whatever. I still think that this is an awesome, I still travel with it even when I'm on my own. This is why this one is our favorite. First of all, even though it's big and kind of bulky, I actually had one that used to be like pink and like metallic that was really pretty that did the same thing. So maybe you can find a pretty one. But right now we have this one. The reason that we like this one is several reasons. First of all, it could charge your phone 4 times. So it's not like an emergency charger. So for a long time, I traveled with like this little free one that I'd gotten from a conference, and it would like give you enough juice to like call the police if you were in the woods or something like that. But it didn't like charge your phone. So this one will charge your phone 4 times. As a flight attendant, you will more than likely be traveling with your phone as well as your tablet, which will have your FAM or your manual on it. So most airlines are going to manuals, and you're responsible for keeping them charged. So having a battery pack, again, is important. This will also charge. It will charge anything with a USB. Okay. So another reason we love this is you can charge 2 things at once. And there's enough juice in here to really charge 2 things at once. And another thing that we like about it is our phones have, my husband told me, there's 2 different I'm just going to go and say there's 2 different cords that you can use to charge this. So some of the battery packs that we had only had like the old traditional, I don't remember what it's called. It's not, I don't know. I'm sounding super dumb. So basically, whether you have the one that's just completely oval, or you have the one that is flat on one side. It actually might be my messages. I think he wrote it to me. Let's see what they're called. Somebody can type in the comments too, if you know. So basically it will charge with a USB or a USB-C cord, charging cord. Look at that. That's what it's called. So both. So basically our phones charge with one cord and our tablets, the kids' Kindles, charge with a different. So you can charge this device with either cord. So you don't have to take an extra cord if your phone is the USB-C. Oh my gosh, that was a long time. Another thing that I like about this is we take this on cruises with us, and because there's a lot of times in the cruise cabin, there's not a lot of plugins, and there's usually just like one on the desk. So there's no outlet near the bed. There's no outlet. That's pretty much the whole room is like the desk of the bed. So there's one on the desk. There's not one on the bed. So I will put this next to my bed to charge my phone so I can have my phone next to me at night. On the cruise ship. And I also use this. I have a travel essential oil diffuser that's like this big. Maybe I'll show it to you next week. Maybe that'll be next week's Chills for Takeoff. But it's a USB, so you can plug it into your computer or you can plug it into this. So I sometimes will carry it around with me. I'll sometimes put it on my desk at the house. In the cruise, I definitely use it because you can't have candles or anything hot like that to kind of freshen your room air. So I plug in my travel diffuser into this, and it keeps it from taking up a plug, basically. So that's one of the reasons that I love this thing. So that's our tools for takeoff today, is why this charger is better than the other chargers. So if you want to learn more, you can click the link. Speaking of cruises, oh my gosh, that's what's next, y'all. So if you heard the announcement last week, Flight Attendant Career Connection is finally getting to travel together. I'm so excited. We've had like 3 different dinners, I think, in our history. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about cruising. So we're going on a cruise in October 8th, out of Port Canaveral on Carnival Cruise Line. We are cruising as a group. Now, there is a Facebook group that I will share the link in because I don't have it ready. Or if you go into Flight Attendant Career Connection group, you can find the link to the cruise Facebook group. So if you're interested in going on the cruise, you can join the group. You don't have to have been registered or anything like that. And that's where you can learn the details. So this cruise is going to be over my birthday. My birthday's the 9th. We leave the 8th. My birthday's the 9th. And we are going to have an amazing time. This cruise, I'm so excited. We've already got people booked too. So if you're thinking about it, please reach out to me or Jason from Get It Booked Travel. So my husband's travel agency, Get It Booked Travel, is helping us plan all of the travel. You can contact him. This is how we're doing it. You can either book the whole package. We've got a price. It's $446 a person. That's everything. Taxes, tips, cruise insurance, the excursion, the gifts, the champagne, the networking. Or some people had interline rates that they wanted to use, which means they're an airline employee, or they had a military discount that they wanted to check out, or they had different, some of them had special rates with their VIFP number, which is very fun person, or VFP, very fun person number, because they had previously cruised. So here's how it's going to work. Contact Jason or me, and I'll connect you with Jason at Good at Book Travel, and he will check your specific rate based on where your discounts come from and get you booked that way so that you can still be a part of the festivities. And then that will allow you to be on the boat. And then to join all of the festivities, you're going to buy an event ticket from Flight Attendant Career Connection for $100. And that will cover your excursion, your bottle of champagne in your room, all the networking and meet and greet opportunities, as well as a gift from Flight Attendant Career Connection. So that's how it's going to work. You can either purchase $446 a person just to have it all in there, or contact Jason. He'll get you booked, especially if you want a special room, if you want a balcony, because that other room that I was talking about is an ocean view, which is still super nice. But if you need a balcony or a certain balcony, or you have a certain discount, or you have an interline rate, contact Jason, and then I'll just invoice you for the event ticket so that we can take care of your excursion for you, and well, not for you, for us. We'll all be together. So that is the information. That's the latest on the birthday cruise. I'm super duper excited. Yeah, so that was my last announcement. Now it's time for, I feel like this is why shows have commercials, because like, it's hard to segue, because I feel like I should be like, that's it for the cruise. I'll be back with a community question after this note from our sponsor. This is why we need a commercial. And then it would be like, buy this battery pack. It's great for you to pack. And I'll be like, back with today's community question. Today's community question I saw posted in the Facebook group a couple times after the announcement by Omni that they were accepting applications. And the question was, can someone please tell me the difference between a mainline, a regional, a charter, a low-cost carrier, and all the other types of airlines that I'm seeing people talk about? Okay, so let's go ahead and do a really quick overview. If you need more information than I'm going to give you right now, or if this doesn't answer all your questions, I really encourage you to watch the video 5 non-negotiable actions to prepare your flight attendant career for takeoff. It's a free video on YouTube. It's about 2 hours long, and it goes over all of this kind of stuff. But just for today, I did want to address this because I do feel like it is definitely a fair question. What is all this stuff about mainlines aren't going to be hiring for 5 years, but the regionals are going to be hiring soon, and Omni is a charter and it's hiring now? Okay, so let's kind of break it down. Mainline carrier, mainline is a term that's a little bit liquid. So different people sort of define it slightly differently. So instead of using the word mainline, I'm going to use the word legacy. So a legacy carrier is usually what people are talking about when they say mainline. That's usually what they're talking about. They're usually talking about a legacy carrier. Legacy carrier are carriers with legacy, names that we know, that our grandparents knew as an airline. So it's Delta, American, United, and Alaska. Those are legacy carriers. Then we also have low-cost carriers. That would be Southwest and JetBlue. And then we also have ultra low-cost carriers, and that would be Spirit, Frontier, and Allegiant. Those are the ultra low-cost carriers. So that kind of is some different terminology. Sometimes you'll hear the word majors. A major airline is an airline that has a certain amount of revenue every year. So it doesn't really have anything to do with its service style or how long it's been in business. It's about its revenue. So airlines like Southwest and JetBlue and Spirit, these are majors because they make a certain amount of revenue every year. So sometimes you'll hear mainlines, legacies, majors. These are kind of different words that slightly overlap as to who is what. But I like to, probably because I'm a flight attendant background, I like to define airlines by their service style. So a legacy carrier is different than a low-cost carrier, which is different service style than an ultra low-cost carrier. Now, the next level that we're going to talk about, the next section, it's not really a level, it's a section, is regionals. So legacy airlines, part of the business model of the legacy airlines who serve the world is to contract out a smaller airline to operate their smaller markets so that they can get as many people to Dallas or as many people to Dulles or as many people to LAX as they can to fill up that flight to Narita or to Paris. So instead of them flying a big plane from, let's say, a little tiny town into a hub, and then having everyone funnel into the hub so that they can fill up one plane to France, they wouldn't want to fly a little plane from Augusta to Atlanta. There's not going to be enough people that want to go on an airplane on any given day from a small airline, from a small airport. So what they do is they hire a regional airline that has a smaller plane that has a better chance of filling it up to move people into their hub so that they can distribute them and hopefully fill up the bigger planes for these longer routes. So that is what a regional is. Regional airlines are contracted by larger airlines to operate their smaller markets, basically. So some regional airlines are wholly owned by a major airline or by a legacy airlines. They're called a wholly owned subsidiary. So American Airlines owns Piedmont, PSA, and Envoy. They own those airlines. Those three regional airlines only operate for American. They're not out on the market contracting with other carriers because they're owned by that same parent company. Delta owns Endeavor. Endeavor Airlines only works for Delta. They're part of the Delta family. Now, other regional airlines, Mesa, SkyWest, Republic, GoJet, all sorts of other, there's several other regional airlines. Air Wisconsin, they're their own company. So the way their business model works is they submit a bid to an airline and they say, we can work your regional flights for this amount. And they get a contract and they come together and they say, okay, for 5 years, you can work all of our flights out of Augusta to Atlanta with these flights. This is how it'll look. This is how we'll do it. And so they're actually just contracted out and they can get work from all of them. So SkyWest, they have regional flights. They operate under Alaska, Delta, American, and United, all four. So they actually have lots of different opportunities within their company because they're not owned by one airline. I also failed to mention that Horizon is the wholly owned subsidiary of Alaska. So Alaska owns Horizon Airlines. So that was the other one. I forgot them. So that's how that is majors, mainlines, legacies, low-cost carriers, ultra low-cost carriers, and regionals. This is why there's a 2-hour video on this. Next, let's talk about charters. Charter airlines are airlines that are hired usually by large corporations, large groups to operate flights for them. So there's a couple different ways that there's a couple different customers of charter airline. Omni's biggest customer, since they're who's hiring, we'll start with them, is the DoD, the Department of Defense, which is the military. So the military hires them to move troops from the U.S. to Germany, the U.S. to Saudi Arabia, the U.S. to Japan, wherever. So instead of, the military doesn't have a ton of commercial aircraft, so they will they'll hire Omni, fill up their flights with military, and then Omni will move them. So that's one way a charter works. Some other customers of charter airlines are casinos. So sometimes if you've ever seen this, blah, blah, blah casino, blackjack queen, trip getaway, airfare included out of Biloxi or whatever. I guess you wouldn't fly out of Biloxi, you fly into Biloxi. But anyways, you know what I'm saying. When it's like an airfare's included out of Orlando, the way that works is the casino will actually charter the aircraft. And so they'll fill it up. They'll sell all of these little, they'll sell a bunch of little packages, enough for them to charter an airplane so that they can move those people. So it's like private flight, because you're not on on a commercial airline. Okay. So that's another way. So mostly it's like vacations or DoD. Another thing is sometimes the airlines will be chartered by military. No, I already said that, by sports teams. That's what I'm like. There's people who wear those football helmets. Yeah, sports teams. So sometimes a sports team will charter an airplane. Will have a partnership with an airline, a charter airline, where they just move them around to their different games or wherever they need to be. So they'll move around as a team. So sometimes the sports teams will also charter a charter airline. Also, kind of interesting, just in case anybody is going to say it, sports teams will also charter mainline or legacy carriers as well, or Southwest, to work to move them around too. So it's not just charter airlines that move those sports teams. It's also other airlines will move sports teams too. So that's a little bit of a rundown on how the industry basically works. Those were very generalized guidelines, and those were also the way I see the industry too. So you may talk to someone else who says that, this airline is absolutely a this or a that. And, that could be true too. They could have a way to sort of defend that position too. But this is the way I look at aviation. This is kind of how I define the different sections of aviation. So I hope that that general overview was helpful and kind of gave you a generalized answer to your question, especially if you were curious about Mesa and Omni, which is a regional and a charter that are currently hiring. I think that that's everything that I have for you today. So let me work on my sign off now. So be like, I don't even know what. I might need to work on it. Be like, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for spending time with me today. Good morning. And if it's not morning where you are, it's morning somewhere. See you next week.